Good morning. Happy Saturday. Welcome back, folks. We're going to wrap up our conflict. I've done some work in there and got things the way I think I like them. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So we have our NEP scenario conflict. I think we're going to change this to BH6 scenario creation conflict, or do something with this naming convention to make it more in line with BHS. Because I think I'm gonna publish this. I think this is gonna go out under the MilOps name. Let's wrap this up. This is extremely easy to use these components. I wish the scenario framework was this way. To be honest with you, it's very easy to deal with these components. Now there's obviously some things I didn't cover, like ambient spawn patrols and ambient vehicles and waypoints and all that. But this is a PvP game mode, so it should be player on player. Go and get these points and leave it. You shouldn't have a lot of AI in this thing. So we do have them though. All right, so let's minimize all these. We'll go through this real quick because what I want to get out of this is that now that we are to this point, these components that are in here are the same as the components that are in here, with maybe a few different ones. Okay, the FOBs are almost identical to the MOBs, except they have a seizing component, so you can take back those FOBs. These do not. Okay, so those are the subtle differences between these components, but they're pretty much just drag and drop. Drag them from here, put them where you want them, and you have a game mode set up. So and then go in and edit your game mode and your managers as you need, and it's that easy. Okay, so that's why I kind of like. I did go through and put in some relays. Like I said, I picked some spots here. I re-looked at this whole thing and said, okay, so I have two relays, one on each end, and then I have one in the middle at Montanak. Okay, and then Montanak is one of my control points. So, and then I put in some FOBs. I put an FOB in here at the northern end. Remember, I drew a line here, imaginary line, and said, okay, this is going to be the north, and then this is going to be the south right here, and then you have all the south. And I drew that line there, and then I put an FOB there and put an FOB there, and then I said, okay, and then I put log bases at like around the harbors. So just everywhere there's a log base that is catchable. You can seize it, okay? So I put those in there. Those are supply points. And then the control points, I only put 4 back down instead of the 5 that I had, and they're not in linear fashion. So I picked a point. Here is Wolf Hill. It has a communications tower. So I made that a capture point. And then another control point, I said Montanak at the soccer fields. And then I said the wastewater treatment plant is an important infrastructure item, so I want you to capture that. And then the industrial park over here is another important capture point. So those are my 4 points. I did put down a prefab of a transmitter tower over here just to give it some ambience, and put the one tower. One of the TCCs is right here, so that's how I'm doing that. Okay. The naming conventions I'm using is the locations of the towers. So if you put that down and then you zoom in to where the prefab is sitting with your camera, it will give you basically the grid coordinate. So I need to adjust this just a little bit off. So should give you the 8-digit grid. So 0443 and then 086. Okay, and that'll be the grid coordinate of this tower. And so that's how I'm doing my naming conventions. That way I don't have to worry about TCC1. I'm not going to copy and paste any of this stuff out, and we're going to leave it at that. So that's pretty much it right now at this point. If we hit play, to test this. I think the only thing left we have to do is create a mission header, and then this will be, I can publish this to the workshop. I need to want to redo those naming items. Okay, so we're going to go in here. So they're going to put us in Alabama, and as we can see now, they put us at the north end here. We have a capture point here of this port. Here is our comms tower, and then it's going to give us these log bases here. Here is our FOB up at Tyrone, right before you leave out, and then here's another log base over here. So that's good. There's 5 points you have to capture, and then you can see the rest of the map. Here are the control points. All right, with this being a communications tower right here. So I kind of like this. I'm not sure how this would play, but you've got to, if you start down here in St. Pierre, you've got to get up here, get this tower, and then you'd be able to get these points here. Same thing here. You start here. You don't have to drive as far as you do St. Pierre, but I can't do anything about that. All right, so I kind of like this setup here. I think we're going to run with this. Of course, you could put the bases on these outer islands and make them fly in to capture these bases. That's an interesting point, and it may look at doing that when we do our PvE portion of this. Okay, so I like it. We're going to try it. I think we're going to publish this up and see what happens to it. And it's out there for people to download and look at and see how I did things. No problems there. So now the next step in this is we have to create our mission header, and we did a video on mission headers. So first of all, I want to rename this, and we're going to call this now. We're going to call this BH6 because that's my tag, and then we're going to call this MilOps 2026 conflict. All right, kind of. I don't need the date. Let's not put the whole date. MilOps 2026, the year that it was made. Let's put that in front, actually. So MilOps 2026. I like that. So that's the name of our folder. Oh, cannot probably used by another process. Okay, so it's locked right now. I can do this all offline. No problem. We can change all these things offline. So we do have a campaign. We do have a header in here that we did make. So we can go in here and we can rename this file. Sorry, it's so large. I was scaling some things, looking at icons. So let's do that. And we can rename this, of course. So we're going to call this BHS 26 MilOps conflict. I like conflict because it's less letters. So we'll do that. Call that. And then we'll open this up, and you can see we have to set this up. Now I did a video on that. I'm not sure about these mission systems yet. I need to look at this file. This is a massive file. If you open it up, you can see there is a ton of stuff in here, and I'm not sure what gets covered in here. There is a garbage system in here, so I'm not sure if this is how it's being handled now. Here's the scenario framework system. So a lot of stuff in these mission system files. I'll tell you what, let's do this. So let's save this, and we're going to close, and let's look. Actually, we can leave it open. Let's look at let's go to campaign. That must be it right here. So what do they use? conflict systems config. So there is one for that. So we're going to copy that, paste, and now we're going to use this conflict system config. We can open it, and it's probably pretty much the same thing as the missions, except it's not for scenario framework. So there's probably not any scenario framework stuff in there. Okay, so the name, we want to rename this. We're going to call this Military Operations 2026. And conflict. Let's call it conflict Everon. Okay, kind of give it a little bit of context there. Blackheart 6. No path. Description. For the description copy, I think I'll have to sit down and write something for this. I want a little bit more detail than this. Okay, so, but for right now, for our purposes, we're going to put that in there like that. Okay, it looks like they already have some artwork. We've already plugged in some artwork in here. Oh no, wait a minute, I'm sorry, shoot. So reforge a conflict. Okay, no, because that was the one. I'm sorry, I made a mistake on that. Insert your world name. So we're going to call this Military Operations 2026. Nope. Military Operations Conflict Everon 2026. So it kind of puts a date on it, so we know that this was made in 2026. Blackheart 6 description. As I was stating earlier, we will do that. Details. We don't need details, but we'll put that in there. And then they were using, what were they using? Reforger conflict. Let's see. Conflict UI. They were using one of these. So reforger. Art. I think they were using. Was they using that one? Certainly not any of those. Not any of those. So let's see. It was small art, conflict art. I think it was that one. Yeah, that one. So copy, paste. That's done. Game mode. We're gonna just leave that in there as that. 64 player count. We're gonna leave it like that. We'll leave all this on, and we're not going to change anything else at this time. Okay. So we're going to save it, and I think we are ready. Am I ready to publish this? Yeah, I could probably throw this up. So let's go to our, let's see what happens when we publish. Oh, I already am there. Duh. Okay, project settings. Publish to workshop. It says I can't publish to workshop. Wonder why. Alrighty, I should be able to publish. Let's close it out. Let's reopen. Tools. Scenario conflict. Oh, I'll tell you what. I want to change these anyway. So let me do that. Let's go in here. This was NEP scenario. So yeah, we want to definitely change that out. Blackheart 6. Milops. 20. Let's do it like this, 26 underscore milops conflict Eden. Okay, so that's going to be the name of that. We go in here. We can go into our project, open this just once. Okay, ID. We're going to change our ID to BHS underscore 26. Milops conflict, and then the title is going to be military operations. What did I say? Conflict Everon 2026. Okay, and we're going to do that. Save. So we have that, and then in our worlds, we could change this. Call this Blackheart 6, or BHS, sorry. And we can go in here. This is where you want to do pre-planning. You know, make sure. Yeah, you know I normally won't do it this way. Trust me. Okay, so we want to leave all those the same. So now let's open up our Reforger tools. It's not going to be in here anymore because we changed the name of it, right? So we have to add an existing project. We need to go here, Workbench, Add-ons, and we want to add this, and we add that. So now it comes up here as this. Let's go ahead and set a. Do I want to set a thumbnail for this? Not yet. I got to create a new thumbnail for that. Let's see what happens. Okay, so we've got it here. We have our missions folder. We have our, yeah, we got everything. So file. Let's look at something. Log console. Okay, I don't see any errors. There was some errors there earlier. And now we can publish. So we go to publish. Your project name will get cut off, so you've got to truncate it. So military operations 26. Let's go conflict. So it stops right there. Let's leave it at, let's kind of shorten this then. Milops 26 conflict Everon. Okay, we'll do that. We'll see how this presents itself. Okay, preview image. We have to get some kind of preview image up here. So graphics. Here's some Milops 3 stuff. Oh, right here. Perfect. Yeah, I like that. Okay, category is going to be multiplayer. It's not going to be single player, so we have to select that. No contributors. Our version is going to be 0.0.1. We are going to make this unlisted at this time, and then we're going to just put in a summary called, you know, military operations conflict Everon 2026, and we'll come back and do something a little bit more descriptive, a little bit more proper. So I like that. So let's publish it, see what happens. You about, yes. Okay, publishing was successful. All right, let's close that and let's go check it out. Get a feel for what it looks like. Okay, so here is my test world project. Here is military operations SF. That's coming. Armor's out there, but it sucks. So here is our conflict. So see how it says Mil Ops 26 conflict Everon? We don't want that. Okay. And then of course we will clean all this up. That banner does not show, so we need to look at that. You can see that it doesn't have a file there, but you know, it's downloadable. It's only got 9 kilobytes, so we can download it very quick. Go back, scenarios. So now we should have it in here. Here it is right here. As you can see, we don't have any background image. So, and those images are those 3 files, those preview images. So we may have to fix that. Okay. So that's the public, you know, how to publish it. Looks pretty good here. We need to fix this here because this is what's going to show up in the server browser. So Armor Reforger is that name. We want this to be military operations, I think, something to that effect. And then we'll leave that like that. Okay? I think that's it. I think we're good. That is going to cover it now for conflict game mode. Let's see, do I need to save that? No. That covers the conflict game mode PvP. And so next we'll look at turning that PvP into a PvE for conflict, because I know that's a very popular thing. A lot of people want to do conflict in player versus environment. I personally wouldn't use the campaign components to do that. We have something called Scenario Framework for that, and that works quite well for that purpose. Okay? Appreciate it. Thank you very much. You all have a great day.